And there's sometimes that some of these people are alive that I'm just amazed myself thinking about it, that if all you are is a head in a trunk, why do you want to be here? But they kept them alive, and they bring them back, and you see these same people on TVs now as spokesmen for Wounded Warriors or whatever they're doing this stuff, and you wonder, is that one that I brought out?
All right, how's it going, Sam?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Why don't we start off just giving us your name, which branch of service you served in, the years, and what rank you got out as.
Okay. My name is Sam Currie. Started out in the Air Force in 1974. I was on C5s as a Loadmaster, and then in 78 I departed the Air Force. In 79 joined the Georgia Air National Guard here in Savannah at the 165th, flying 130s as a Loadmaster, and ended my career after 38 years, retired in 2013.
Wow. Wow. Oh, thank you for your service, man.
You're
38
welcome.
years, that's a long time.
That is, and I worked my way up and retired as a Chief Master Sergeant, E9.
Nice, awesome. All right, so tell me a little bit about where you're from. Where were you born, and what was your childhood like?
Well, I was born in Brunswick, Georgia. My father worked for a company in the 50s called Babcock Wilcox. They were building Liberty ships. They were slowly winding down after World War II. Well, we moved up here in Savannah, so I'm raised here in Savannah, and went to the public school system for Chatham County, and I started doing sheet metal work. I was a sheet metal apprentice, working my way up to sheet metal journeyman, but in 1974 we had a president, Jimmy Carter, from Plains, Georgia. And we were in a recession and an oil embargo, and things were looking bad, and people were laying off left and right. And I just had to do something, because they had told me that we're going to start closing down the business. So I had to find a job. So I was actually going in to either join the Air Force or the Marines, but the Air Force recruiter caught me first. So I went in in 1974 as a airman basic, and went to Lackland, did everything, and then went to all the schools, the wonderful schools the Air Force and the military send you to, that are loads of fun. And
wow. Now, growing up, did you grow up with both your parents? Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got a sister. My mother died when I was 7 years old, so I just had a father, and my sister's 2 years older than I am. And everybody went. My father. He was old when I was born. He was 53 when I was born. So, he'd been around a lot longer than I have, of course. And one of the things that he did was he was actually in World War I.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't talk about it much, but he did talk a few things about it. But it's one of those things that we have PTSD, that they suffered the same thing. He was in the Marines. He was in the 2nd. And he was a cannoneer. And,
wow.
So he was over there also, but he didn't talk much about it. But anyway.
Yeah.
So why did I join the military? Well, the way life was, I had to do something.
Yeah.
I wasn't in tune, wasn't trained, disciplined enough to go to school. I tried it, but it's like, okay, that's it. I can't do this.
So the military looked to be the best route for you, right?
Yeah, it is, and I really don't regret it. I had a great time.
So what did you? So you went in you said the Air Force recruiter snatched you up first, huh?
Yeah. Well, actually, as you're walking down the stairs where it is at the old courthouse, the first thing you see is the Army, and I didn't really want to be in the Army. I was going to be either Air Force or Marines, and the next door was the Air Force, and I just happened to walk by and stuck my head in there, and the guy said, "Hey, come on in," and then that's the way it was. I never even saw the Marine recruiter.
Now, when you enlisted back then, did you have a choice of jobs?
I went under what they call a guaranteed job, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So we started looking through the book, and I saw things as aircraft loadmaster, gets to fly on the airplane, blah, blah, blah. I'm in charge of that. And I said, I'll do that. So it was a guaranteed career. And so you go through basic and you go straight to start the training, and which you go to, you get to go to Shepherd and Altus and SEER training, and wonderful place. You get to go to all those, and then you get to your site, which I was at Travis, California, and flew C5s, and it was, like all military, it's fire hose training. So, but it was, you can do it. It's no real problem.
Where'd you go to boot camp?
At Lackland Air Force Base.
Latin Air Force Base?
Lackland, yeah, and it was we went straight from there to Shepherd Air Force Base, which was an active duty base, of course, and then from there to Altus, which is the C5 training center. And that took about a year and a half for all that training to do it, plus the survival training and the training back at the base. About a year and a half before they finally let you go and says, okay, you're now a Loadmaster, go forth and tear stuff up. So.
Wow. What is like the specific job duty of a Loadmaster?
Well, we're in charge of getting the airplane prepared, bringing all of the cargo on the airplane, making sure that it's compatible with each other, that we have hazardous material where it doesn't react to each other or something that's dangerous on the airplane, weight and balance, critical load stations. There's just so much stuff. It's a lot of math, a lot of figuring out where you can put stuff for PSI limitations, restraint limitations, and because you got an airplane that's moving around, and that stuff's moving around inside of it. You have to restrict it to keep it from moving, because if you put a vehicle in there and you put less chains or less, and if it breaks loose, well, now you've got a problem. And the problem is that it could move aft or it could move forward where the aircraft's uncontrollable. So what we try to do is make sure that it's in limits for flight, normal flight, and we also have make sure that it's secured and restrained. So.
Wow. And you said you had to go through SEER school for that?
Yeah. Well,
can you
survival school? Yeah, wonderful time.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like?
Well, let's see. SEER school was again fire hose training, being in interrogation, being abused, and learning how. If they say if you learn this, then if you are captured, you will be able to use this. And I don't know if it did or not, but we had to go through 3 weeks of that, and then 1 week of water survival. So,
yeah, that's just in case you get captured, right?
Yeah. All for captured, and all for you go through parachute training. You don't actually jump out, but you go through parachute training on the swing land trainer and the towers, and then you get to do the water in the lake. You get to do with the helicopter pickup in the water, and all the good stuff that the Air Force wants you to learn.
Wow. So what was your first official duty assignment, or where were you stationed?
I was stationed at Travis Air Force, California. And after all the additional training, once you get back, familiarization training, then you have an instructor with you for probably 6 months. And my first trip was what they call a westbound. We'll take off at California, and we go to Hickam Air Force Base and spend the night, unload, then fly to either Wake or Guam. And then from Guam we go to Philippines to Japan, and then Japan to Alaska to McCord. So it's just a westbound, just makes a big loop.
Right.
And then the eastbound, the next trip was going east, and that's where you go to Dover, to Germany, to England, to Germany, just make another loop. It's called an eastbound. And I did get selected later on to do a lot of special missions called SAMs, and Special Airlift. And what we did was we would load equipment up and take it to different countries. And some countries, like we'd load 8 F-5s on a C-5, and we'd fly it to Jordan or fly it to Iran. And that's when the Shah was in, and Iran was westernized and good people before it turned into the Islamic State of Iran. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of those, but there was a lot of stuff to do on C5s. We went all over the place hauling presidential stuff and presidential communications equipment. And anytime the president goes someplace, there's a huge amount of people that follow him around or prepare for him, take it and go prepare.
Right. Yeah, a lot of planning for that, right?
Yes, yes, a lot of stuff.
What was your favorite assignment while you you served 38 years, right?
Well, I like California, but family was here, so I decided to leave. At the end of my enlistment in December, I got out and I immediately enlisted at the 165th here in Savannah, Georgia, a C-130 unit in January. So I had no break in service, so I just continued on. And then I went back to school again to Little Rock to learn to be a Loadmaster on 130s, which are, you have basic Loadmaster, then you have Mission Qual, which is airdrops. So I did that, and I enjoyed, because I did it so long, I enjoyed the 130 aspect of the training and the flying. 130 was, I wouldn't say much more entailed, but you did airdrop, and then to me it was more fun. I enjoyed the airdrop phase of it all.
Yeah.
Watching the crazy people jump out of airplanes.
Right. Where were you stationed during that assignment? Oh, here in Savannah, Georgia, right?
Here in Savannah, unless we were going off on deployments or we were going to do things. We did a lot of, we went everywhere. We would always go everywhere for 2 weeks. And people have a misconception of the Air National Guard. They think that all you do is go out for 1 week in a month, a Saturday and a Sunday, and then 2 weeks out of the year for summer training. Well, if you're an operational 130 unit, you don't do that. You're constantly going. We have people always somewhere flying, going someplace. In fact, they understand that, and Congress gave us extra pay for that. And what they do is called AFTPs, additional flight training periods. And you would get you'd get 48 of those a year on top of your UTA, not on top of your special training, on top of your annual training. I mean, just a lot of things to where you could come out and make a flight in the afternoon, fly for 4 hours. You fill out a pay card, and you get paid for coming out and fly, because you've got to stay proficient.
Right.
And if you don't do it all the time, you're not staying proficient. You have to
Wow.
Keep up.
How many, did you do any deployments?
I did a lot of deployments. 38 years, did quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And there's so many of them that you could talk about, going to Egypt and going to do the Rwandan. We did the Rwandan thing when
What was that?
Bad over there. That was over in Africa, and that's when they had they made a movie about it. Rwanda was under how can I put this politely? The Hutus hated the Tutus, and they were going through an extermination period, killing people. And we went over there and worked out of Uganda, Entebbe, Uganda, where the Israelis came in and took out the Arabs when they hijacked their airplane. And we were right in front of that building where they went and took them out, and the Israelis got all their people back except for one individual. But we were flying support into Goma, Zaire, and Entebbe, and not Entebbe, excuse me, Goma, Zaire, and a lot of other places, supporting with food and all the stuff to help them during that time period.
Yeah,
and
humanitarian.
Then right from there, we turned right into doing the Sarajevo during the Yugoslavia thing. We were flying in and out of Yugoslavia, taking food and doing airdrops over Yugoslavia, where they were having the big war.
Wow.
So we were constantly doing stuff like that. Like I say, that everybody's got a misconception the Guard's only 1 week in a month. No, we were there for months and months and months.
Yeah. While you were doing these, humanitarian missions, it sounds like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever find yourself in any type of danger while doing this?
No.
No, you guys are good.
Our biggest problem is we call it the golden BB.
Uh-huh.
You flying along nice and happy. If somebody down on the ground wants to shoot you and you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, it's a golden BB.
Yeah.
But our biggest threat to all of us was the weather over there, because then going in Sarajevo, you got two mountains on the left and the right, and you can't see until you get right on the ground almost. So the navigator and the people up front hopefully keep us safe, because we're only a millisecond behind them.
Yeah. So how long did you do in the Air Force initially?
A little over 4 years, about 4 years, 4 months.
Oh, 4 years. And what rank did you get out of the Air Force?
I was a staff sergeant when I got
Staff
out of
sergeant.
there.
Oh. So when you moved into the Coast Guard, did you get
National Guard.
Or National Guard?
Yeah.
Did you get to carry your rank with you, or how's that?
Yeah, got to carry it. The Air National Guard, they have a tier system to where it's just like you can have so many staff sergeants, so many tech sergeants, so many masters, so many seniors, so many chiefs. You can only have it is. So if you've got a billet to where you are in a staff sergeant position, you get to keep it. So I just happened to be with the experience and stuff. They said, we're going to keep you as a staff sergeant, so I didn't lose anything.
Oh,
so
nice.
I just came right straight back to where I was.
Yeah. Wow. And then a total of 38 years you served. You just retired. When was it?
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
You miss it?
I miss some of the places I went, some of the people, but when you get a certain age and stuff, my last tour in Afghanistan, you're sort of like going, okay, this is for young people. You know, I was 58 then, 59. I was 59, and I'm like, this is it. I'm finished. This is young guys' thing of being up 36 hours and getting a couple hours of sleep and then doing it again. I'm ready to cut this out.
What was that like, that tour in Afghanistan?
Well, I went there. Well, when we went there we didn't go there. Here again, the Air Guard's kind of weird how they set this up. I spent during the first Gulf War, I spent 2 months in Dhahran, flying all the support missions. Then the next war kicked off. We went to a place called Masura Air Base, Oman. Okay, and that's in 2003 when everything was kicking off. We were there before the war kicked off, but we were flying support missions into Kuwait, and we were going to Horn of Africa. We were flying up to Afghanistan, and then the war kicked off. So then we'd fly to Kuwait, and we were flying into and out of Iraq. And we were just constantly, you probably do about 6 flights a day back and forth into Iraq, carrying people and equipment and bringing out wounded, carrying medevac in, bringing out people from medevac them out back to Kuwait, and then Kuwait they would send them special airlift to Landstuhl. So we were moving the people all around and the equipment and stuff, and I did a total of 9 tours.
Wow.
There.
So what would you do, if you're going to pick up, let's say, wounded, what was your job, once you've landed? Can you just describe to me how that works? How does it work when you're...
Well, a lot of times you go in and you're carrying cargo or passengers. And you're either carrying 50 people and 2 pallets of cargo, or you're carrying vehicles, or it depends on what you got, pallets of food or whatever. And you get there, sometimes you'll have a medevac crew with you that will leave Kuwait with you, because they had, I can't remember the outfit that was there. Okay, anyway, so you would carry them with you, but sometimes you'd go up there and say, hey, we got 3 wounded, can you take them? So we'd throw them on the airplane. And they would be stabilized to where it wasn't nothing really, if it's life, limb, or eyesight, you would have medevac with you. If it was just somebody that just got hurt, and let's say they were busted up or whatever, we put them on the airplane, it's an hour flight, get them to Kuwait, they'd come out, rush them, and take them to wherever they needed to go. So it was mostly, this is what we have, take it while you can. If we did the medevac, we did a lot of those going into Baghdad and going into Afghanistan stuff. Those people never get a good pat on the back for what they do for people. The first thing that happens is, of course, you get wounded and your medic takes care of you. Then you get airlifted to a station, counts on where you're at, if you're in Jalalabad or wherever it is. And then we come in after you're stabilized, pick them up, and take them to Bagram. And Bagram's where the central hospital was. And then the C-17s come in and bring them to Landstuhl. And there are sometimes that some of these people are alive that I'm just amazed myself thinking about it, that if all you are is a head in a trunk, why do you want to be here? But they kept them alive, and they bring them back, and you see these same people on TVs now as spokesmen for Wounded Warriors or whatever they're doing this stuff, and you wonder, is that one that I brought out?
Yeah.
Is that one that
Wow.
was hurt and stuff? But the doctors and the flight medics and stuff, they do an outstanding job keeping these people going, and it's pretty tough for them.
I bet. I mean, I bet it was tough being. Did you have a specific hand in role in caring for the wounded when they got onto the plane, or did you just let the medics?
We set the airplane up. They would come in and set up all their equipment, assist them in setting their equipment up. We'd carry the litters, but mostly ours, because a lot of times it was engine running. We'd go to some of the bases, and you never shut the engines down, so it was engines running, and we would just coordinate and get the people on, because they'd back an ambulance up, and you'd have to get people to carry them onto the airplane stuff, and we did mostly just watching them and holding stuff for them, because we're not trained in that.
Right.
Loadmaster's not trained in it. And, once in a while they'll say, hey, hold this bag up, and you'll hold it.
Right.
And then your big thing is to make sure when you take off that everything's secure and everything's shut up and nothing's rolling around, and you get back to where you want to, because you don't want to compound the problems they got now.
Right. So it sounds like your job during that, during a mission like that on evacuating a wounded, is to make sure the environment is safe for the team to be able to, work on the subject.
Yeah, and the 130's not a very quiet airplane. I'm sure you've got the experience of being in a 130. It's so you've got to learn how to talk to people.
Yeah.
Learn what it is.
Yeah. Wow. What was that like for you? Seeing wounded being carried out of combat. Did that like? Can you remember the first time that you saw that? Like, did it affect you at all right away? Did you just become?
I don't know if it really affected me. It's the same thing as carrying a KIA out, a bag, sadly, a bag. It's one of the things where you get, I wouldn't say satisfaction, but you get the knowledge knowing that you're transporting this individual back to their family. You're taking them to their home, or you're taking somebody to get taken care of. You don't want to, I don't dwell on it. I was doing what I was supposed to do, and I like to think that I had a hand in getting them back to where they could get the help, or taking them home to their family.
Right, so the family could at least have some closure of their...
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I didn't, you were there to do a job. And our job, sadly, a colonel said it the best. He said, our job is to support that 18-year-old with a rifle. That's it. We're in a support role. Everybody is in a support role. There's very few individuals that actually got to pull the trigger. But our job is to support you guys pulling the trigger.
Yeah. And you're right. I 100% agree with you. A lot of the support roles, they don't get the credit that they deserve, right?
No.
It's kind of a lot of support roles are kind of a thankless job, right?
Very much, yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So you were part of the Gulf War. I think that's the one you're talking about. I think it was like around 92, early 90s,
yeah, 92, right? And it all blend together, because when the Gulf War went on, then the Rwandan incident went on, and then Sarajevo was going on, and then other issues were just continual. We had Urgent Fury, which was Panama, and then we had Grenada, and it was just one right after another, to where we were constantly going someplace or going to do something. Mm-hmm. So, and then here comes Saddam, there comes Hussein. He invades Kuwait, which is a big deal, and never stopped from there. Just always going to do something.
Right, right. Did you guys get word when you were part of the invasion of Iraq in 2003? Did you guys get word that the war was over within a couple of days. I remember being out there and them calling it like, all right, we're pretty much done, but it wasn't done.
No, it was never done.
Yeah, it was never done.
They said it was over, but no, there was always stuff to take, people to carry, people to support, and we did a lot of that, and which is our job.
Right.
Yeah, which is our job.
So was Savannah, Georgia, out here in Savannah was your last duty station?
Mm-hmm. Right there at the 165th. I had I finished up my sheet metal apprentice job, and I was a sheet metal mechanic. And I was working at a nuclear power plant right up the road called Plant Vogtle Nuclear Power Plant. Mm-hmm. And the job came open as a full-time technician out at the 165th. And I was tired of driving from Savannah all the way to Waynesboro, Georgia, which is about maybe 60, 70 miles away. Get up at 3 in the morning and get home at 9 at night. So I said, okay, that's it. So I joined the Air National Guard civil service position in '83 and stayed there until 2013 as a full-time technician. Which full-time technician, you maintain your military position also, because they're all tied together.
Oh, nice.
So, and Congress has said that when you reach age 60, you got to go. So I was ready to go before age 60. But anyway, it's yeah.
What was it like for you, after 38 years of service, transitioning out of the service?
To me, because being a civil servant in Savannah with my home right here, it really wasn't that much difference. Now, was I missing something? Yeah, of course you miss something because you're always constantly going. And you stay home for 6 months and you're doing, stuff around the house, and after a while you're going, I got to find something else to do. So what I did was I volunteer out at the 8th Air Force Museum and working on the B-17 and working on the facilities out at the 8th Air Force Museum. And about 2 years later, I became the project manager on the B-17. And I like to call it herding cats. I got about 40 to 120 people, and all I do is give them jobs and say, go out and tear something up or go out and build something and stuff. And I'm still out there. And now I'm the operations supervisor. And we got a great group of people out there working on the B-17. We're getting ready to start a B-24, and we just constantly doing stuff. And then I found this place, the American Legion, and I'm now here at the American Legion since 2014. And I enjoyed here, got a great group of people, and we are here also veteran and service supported people. We do a lot for the veterans around here.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe some of the things you guys are doing here at this post?
Well, we have a service officer, and we do a lot of veterans support. We have a service officer who comes in, and he will spend time guiding the veteran in the right direction. If they need monetary assistance, I give him a budget so he can have some monies to pass on to this individual, or he can guide them to the VA or to someplace that helps them out. Because it's sad that a lot of people don't know this. When you transition out of the military, they basically say, okay, here it is, here's your physical, here's this here, see you later. And there's nothing that tells you, like the VA. They say, okay, all your records have been sent to the VA. All right, what do I do now? Well, it's sent to the VA. It took me 3 years to get my first appointment with the VA. So I finally got the first appointment with the VA, and I'm on, I've been with them for every year since then. And you don't really get that good of a you're out of here briefing. And I'm sure you did the same thing, basically, thank you for your service, have a good life, bye.
Yeah, I remember the exact words. I think it was our first sergeant. It was like, hey, if when we got back from our deployment from the Iraq invasion, it was hey, there's a bunch of new Marines that need barracks. If you're not re-enlisting, you need to go, check your gear out, or turn your gear back in and get out. It's time to go.
Yep.
And I was literally, one moment I was, in Iraq, in combat, and 3 weeks later I was sitting at home as a civilian, not knowing what to do with my life. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I've been out for, since 2004 or so, and I'm still finding out about veteran organizations and benefits and stuff that, is a resource for us that I had no clue about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're involved in so many things. We're big time involved with what called the tiny houses, which is right down the road, which are small houses. I think they're like, I don't know, 300 or 400 foot square. And they got a bedroom, a little kitchenette and stuff and they're specifically guided and directed towards veterans, homeless veterans. And we have coat drives, we have sock drives, we have so much stuff, and we take them down to the homeless camps and distribute them, and not just to veterans, but to everybody. So we are constantly doing something like that always.
That's awesome. Now, do you guys do anything for mental health as far as for veterans?
We have some organizations that we guide them to, we direct them to for mental health. We have, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is, but one of our big things is we have groups that we contact if somebody contacts us for suicide prevention. That's a huge thing right now. The 22 is way too many, and I heard it's more than 22, because if you count everybody from the first Gulf War, well, World War II, first Gulf War, Korea, everything, people are for some reason not finding a reason to live, and suicide prevention is a big thing right now. We're pushing a lot of that right now to see if we can stop that. And if you ever get involved in suicide prevention, it's well worth your time and effort, because you are helping people. All you got to do is one time, and you realize how much you are helping people.
Yeah. What do you think it is, Sam? Why do you think that suicide is such a big thing right now in the veteran community?
I don't know if it's one where they're all of a sudden nobody, because for a long time they were somebody. They were in an organization, they were in a group, they were doing something, they were constantly busy, and then the next thing you know, they're sort of like a go away, have fun, we'll see you later, and you have nothing. And your buddies are now separated, you're not in the same place with your buddies, which you were there for 2, 4 years, 6 years, or whatever. And you sort of like, I guess they feel like they're lost. And then it gets worse and worse, and the stuff that they see, the PTSD affects them, and it's a whole combination of things. Problems at home, family problems, coming home to a wife that doesn't understand, and all the things that happen. And eventually, I guess it's overwhelming. I'm lucky myself that I've never had those issues. I guess because I was stationed here and only here, and all my friends and family are here, that I had a good idea of what I wanted to do, and I had a lot of support. Yeah. Everybody has a lot of support. And we here at the Legion, we also try to support these individuals too.
That's great. It sounds like, would you say that you might have did better than others because it sounds like you submerged yourself in the military environment, even though you got out, you're working on B-17s, B-24s, you're here at the American Legion. Yeah. So it's almost like you never really left the military community almost.
I think so.
Right.
I believe you have to stay busy. Some people are lucky enough to stay busy, and some can't find busyness enough. But you got to be able to sort of like, I like to hear the old saying, keep the gray matter flowing and keep your body moving. And the only way you can do that, you can't stay home. I've got too many friends that were in the Air National Guard for me. A year after they had retired, they died because they didn't want to do anything. They sat there and were couch potatoes watching TV or not doing anything. You've got to get out and stay busy and stay active. And I just feel like that's what helped me out, was I just stayed busy, always doing something.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You got to have a purpose, and have be working towards something, because you're right. You're 100% right. Even myself, when I have too much time to think, and there's nothing to do. It's just, that's when all the depression starts to kick in. You start to think about all these things that you talked about.
Yep. It does, and I'd like to say I'm one of the lucky ones that I'm one of the lucky ones that I wouldn't say it doesn't bother me as much, but I can at least say, okay, think about something else, and it doesn't dwell. I like to say that to myself.
Yeah. After
all the stuff that we all see, that we all do.
Right. Well, it's awesome. It's awesome that you guys are doing a lot of great things here at this post. One of the reasons why we're doing this project right here, doing Veteran Stories, is to bring out more awareness of these organizations, like here.
Yeah.
Even just starting this project, I've learned of so many different organizations I had no idea were around. Every avenue. There's an organization I found out that's called like Guitar for Vets, or something like that, where you could get 10 free lessons, and at the end of it they give you a free guitar. Like,
wow.
I just think it's those little important things like that. Like, it could just be something so simple as that, as learning to play an instrument for that specific period of time, that could keep you occupied and keep you out of that bad space.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm glad to see. A lot of places like that are coming around to where they understand that people need assistance, and all it is a little bit of time. That's all it takes, is a little bit of time to turn somebody away from that bad area that they're in.
Right. All right, Sam. Well, we're probably going to get ready to wrap it up. Anything that you want to talk about that you didn't get a chance to say, or anything we missed before we cut the tape?
I'm good. I guess the biggest thing I want to tell all the veterans out there, all of the people getting ready to get out there, is stay busy. Find a place like American Legion, a Veterans of VFW, something. Get immersed in something to where you have friends again. Don't leave your base, never to see anybody again. Try to get involved to where, if it's a church, if it's whatever it is, get in something to where you have contact with individuals and you all can support each other, because it takes more than one.
Yeah. I'm encouraging a lot of my buddies who I served with, join the American Legion, let's join here, let's go hang out over here, talk to some other vets. And I'll be honest, I had the perception that these organizations and stuff are just full of just old school Vietnam, and I have a feeling that's the mindset to a lot of us younger generation who just went through these, the Iraqi War, Afghanistan, and all that. They have this perception that, these organizations are just all the old timers and stuff. Matter of fact, when I got inducted into the American Legion a couple of weeks ago, I'm still learning how the vice commanders and stuff, how all that stuff works. But they approached me right away. It was like, hey man, we need some younger guys in here, get people in here. And I was just like, wow, it just really confirmed what I thought already.
We need to get people away from the idea that all the American Legion is a place where a smoky hole where a lot of people sit, drink liquor and beer, and tell war stories. It's not what that is. What that is community involvement, is community, state, and nation. We're all about this of helping veterans. We're all about this of helping each other, camaraderie, and we need to get away from that. And as you can tell, this place here, we try to keep it very clean. We try to keep it respectable, and that's what the American Legion is to show respect to individuals and to help each other out.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, hey, Sam, we're going to just wrap it up then, man. Thank you for being here. You sitting down here and telling your story like this it's the backbone of what we're doing here, and to bring about more awareness and stuff. So really appreciate it. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome, and thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more.